Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
As a person, I have seen that I have grown so much from the time that I have walked into the gates of SV.
For me, I would say it has been action-packed and eventful. Otherwise, the support from the college or the faculty or the peer group was phenomenal, I would say.
SPJIMR Institute of Management and Research is a leading school of management located at the heart of India's financial capital, Mumbai. SPJIMR consistently ranks amongst the top 10 management institutes of the country and has multiple alumni working across multinational corporations. With me today, I have two second-year students of SPJIMR, Pavani and Rohit, who respectively have PPOs from HUL and TAS. I welcome you both to this conversation and thank you so much for joining me. The first question for you is, how would you describe your MBA experience at the much sought after SPJIMR? And let me put this across to Pavani.
And if I have to put it in one word, it has been very enriching because SP provides you a plethora of experiences, be it your non-classroom learning activities where you're mentoring a child, or in your summers when you go to your rural stints where you're in your rural locations and trying to solve some very unstructured problems. And also the entire atmosphere at SP is a very collaborative atmosphere. If I'm stuck at some place, I can always raise a hand and there'll be some 10 people who are ready to help me out. So as a person, I have seen that I have grown so much from the time that I've walked into the gates of SV.
For me, I would say it has been action-packed and eventful. Action-packed because we all know last year it has been quite tumultuous. The first year, I would say, has been quite a good experience for me. Why I say that is because this is the first time I got to interact with such a large cohort of non-engineers, right? That gives you a completely different perspective, which I did not have. So I got that. Secondly, I had this preconceived notion that once you're in MBA, and we all hear that it's very packed. You don't get much time to do what you love or follow your passions and hobbies. But that was not the case at all. I think sports played a very important and good role. I mean, for me in my SP experience.
I want to ask you, what is it that made you want to apply to the companies that you got your PPOs from?
Before joining SP, I was actually preparing for civil services for a couple of years while I was working. So that did not happen. I gave two attempts, but that did not work out. So I was lost. I mean, I was wondering what to do, where to join, where to go. Then I wanted to stay in India. So CAT seemed like a good opportunity. But that was when my boss actually told me there's something like TAS, which parallels the corporate IAS. And this is what it is all about. Then it actually CAT became even more interesting, MBA became even more interesting for me, that I should go for it because such an opportunity exists. Though it was a long shot back then, but this opportunity was there. So SP happened, then TAS happened. So seems like a good journey so far, and I'm expecting it to be even more exciting going ahead. So that is my TAS journey. It was always my dream company before joining SP.
After the pre-placement talk that happened at our college, and I was just having that cup of chai and also just filling a water bottle, I just noticed there's so much penetration of HUL into your lives. And then once I started reading about the brands, the inception, and each of the brands have a purpose at HUL. And I was in a DOCC and sustainable committee at in my ADMAP in my college. So again, sustainability is one thing it's a very core premise at HUL. So these kind of values resonated with me. So it was not zeroing down on HUL, but I think I got attached to the entire idea of HUL.
How did you prepare for the interview, the virtual interview, I presume, of TAS and HUL?
Right from the day go, when I heard of TAS, I actually started following their LinkedIn pages. They have a good social media presence. I started following that, listening to interviews. So that became more sort of a hobby for me. Like once in a while, let me see what the TAS officers are saying and what TAS is all about. So, and that also led me to interact with quite a few alumni and seniors who actually were very helpful in letting me understand what the life of a TAS officer and post your probation is all about. So I got a basic understanding from there. Otherwise, the support from the college or the faculty or the peer group was phenomenal, I would say. And other than that, there were many guest lectures which are organized. So they different like guest lectures from different companies give you a lot of perspectives, different perspectives. So that also helped me in broadening my knowledge base, I would say.
When you have to sit for the virtual interview, it's very different. So we were a batch who had to come in, and I think we were the first batch to sit and face a virtual interview. So that was extremely new to us. And what additional effort I used to do was, I'm a very finicky person. So I used to ensure that I have a good camera presence compared to what a physical presence is like. And I used to refine my answers a lot of times with my peers. We have specific bodies who are a part of who are your consulting club and SBU, and I was part of the SBU. So I know what kind of effort goes behind putting all those efforts for the batch and ensuring all the 236 of our students are prepared. So we also used to leverage the entire alumni network to ensure that multiple interventions are placed so that you're into that orbit of interview preparation. And regarding the self-preparation for HUL, I used to read about HUL, what was going on, the impact of COVID on the FMCG sector, recent news, financial sector updates, the quarterly financials, and a plethora of stuff.
What are some of the things that you would say students should keep in mind when they're preparing for a TAS or an HUL interview?
Once you start making your CV, you know, this is a CV that I've made for a corporate finance role. So you should be very sure of everything that you put on your CV. You should be very confident about each point. You should know everything in depth. Apart from that, since you're applying for a FMCG sector, so you should know what is going on in the FMCG sector. So say COVID happens, so the impact of the supply chain disruptions, or what the companies are doing, what the competitors are doing, how has it impacted the financial performance. And apart from that, the typical economy updates in the current affairs, you should be abreast with that. And also work on your behavioral questions, like what are your strengths and weaknesses, why are you applying for this role, and how would you be a best fit for this particular role. Also feel very confident when you're sitting in the interview and answering those questions. So I think this was what I had done. And one advice I would give is, when you're listening to the pre-placement talks that come onto your campus, listen to them very intently, because those answer at least 50% plus of your questions and queries about the company.
Before I answer this question, I actually wanted to mention this, that the first time I actually got to interact with the TAS team was the Inside IIM meet in Bangalore before joining college. So that is when I met Mafred, the head HR, Purnur, who is working for Tanish, as a TAS officer. So I think that also kick-started this thing in my mind, ki yes, TAS is something you need to aim for. But yeah, otherwise the preparation part, so I began with a clean slate. So something which our alum, Mr. Siddharth Srinivasan, who's also in TAS, he told us during the pre-placement talk, you, irrespective of which company you're applying for, you should have something called a mind map. Something he called it as my grid of experiences. So what it does is, right from your 10th, 12th engineering or whatever degree you have done or your work, you identify 4 or 5 key strengths, right? You put that in your vertical columns, and in your horizontal, put 10th, 12th engineering or whatever degree you have done and work ex. So each box, right, you write down examples. So what this Excel sheet actually does for me is it puts my entire life in form of examples and stories in an Excel sheet. So this gave me good clarity as to who, not complete clarity, but a good fair amount of clarity as to who Rohit actually is and what is he good at, what has he done in life. So this helped me filling the DAF. DAF is a detailed application form which TAS has. So it has 4 or 5 essays. It has everything, basically whatever you have done in life, your ACADS, your extracurriculars, your passions, your hobbies, your interests, covers everything. So that those gave me 4 or 5 interesting stories, which I was I was convinced that I can narrate them. So that is what helped me fill that form. Secondly, something which helped me, and I've also mentioned before, is you speak to more people. I mean, you network as much as possible. The more people you speak to, the more you get to know about the company, about the work culture, what they do day in and day out. So that also helped me. Every interview, they ask you, do you have any questions for us towards the end? So I genuinely had a couple of questions which related to my work ex and which Tata Power was actually doing. So I asked them, and they were very keen. And they said that, wow, we didn't think of it. That is interesting. So don't ask questions in the end just for the sake of asking. Research very well. You will definitely hit a few points wherein you would want to know about the company. Like Pavani mentioned HUL. So she's been thinking about it. So she would definitely have some questions that how did HUL actually do this, right? I asked them, how did Tata Power do this? So they were quite helpful and they answered pretty well. So yeah, these are 2, 3 things I followed.
The next question is about the remote internship that you guys would have done. What was that experience like? How did you navigate through it?
I will give probably a two-step mantra. One is initially, as soon as you get your, as soon as I got my project charter, I ensured that I had a project brief meeting with my mentor. After that, I went back the entire day. I was preparing a journey map of 8 weeks, how it's going to be, what am I going to do in each week, approximately, not exactly, obviously, splitting up my work. And then I went back to him saying, see, this is how I have planned. This is what I plan to approximately achieve, considering so and so conditions are satisfied. So being in a remote internship, the main problem is you can't reach out to them over a coffee break or by the water cooler. You need to block their calendars. So always having and they are obviously your mentors are busy people because they are senior level people whom you're actually partnered with, who you work under. So you need to block their calendars. You need to have that 15 minutes call. And before that 15 minutes call, I used to do an entire level of preparation. I used to have a small deck or an Excel where I used to write, this is what I've done. This is what I plan to do. Am I going in the right direction? So it always helps to put yourself on the right track and finally deliver a very high quality project. And this is a time when you actually put forward your hiccups, etc.
My specialization is in operations and supply chain, but I got a core marketing and analytics project, which I've never done. So something you should always be, I mean, not aligned to, I would say, but you should be able to withstand, or you should be able to accept change. That helps you a lot. So you should not be fixated that if I'm doing a particular, for example, I'm in a marketing domain, I only want to do marketing. So at least in the case of TAS, I'm telling you, so you can get any project from any domain. I could have got a finance or marketing as I got a marketing. So I was open to change. That at least clear. I had no mental blocks in my mind before I started off my internship. So okay, once I knew, okay, I'm willing to learn. Then I started exploring as to what digital marketing is all about. I spoke to people. I read up a few notes which the marketing specialization actually, some of them gave it to me, and I started understanding the subject. So you get to learn something new. So this is one thing I did. Secondly, what I did was, when you're given a task, right? What happens is over a span of couple of days, your appraiser or mentor, that's what you have in task, right? You have an appraiser, you have a mentor. They forget it. They have given you 2, 3 tasks. They might forget one task and they might ask you updates over the other 2 tasks. But it's your responsibility to finish all the 3 tasks and give them the end result.
Tell me the 3 things that you would say you did that helped you get the PPOs from your respective companies. And let me start with Pavani here.
So initially we have a midterm review, and where my manager told, curiosity is one trait that he mentioned was something that he really liked in me. And on a lighter note, he said, probably despite having a very long call, when I speak to you, you always have a smiling face. That is a very good trait, is what he mentioned. So the first trait, what curiosity was. So my project was a process control project, one of the projects. So for that, to understand what was the process, how it was at the ground level, I took an initiative and I used to go to the stores and see how it was actually working as a mystery shopper. So this was something that was really appreciated by my mentor. And when I even pitched it to the VP of that particular brand, even she was very happy with the way that I had gotten inputs from the live level. So seeing actually how things go on ground, I think that makes your entire project come out live. So being very curious about what is going on and what are the things that you can bring about, how is it different from what is actually on your screen, was one trait which was appreciated. Apart from that, I initially had only 2 projects. And then since I had some bandwidth, I took over a 3rd project. So taking initiative was the second thing that was appreciated in the organization.
During, if it's an online internship or an offline internship, you will get stuck. And I got stuck during many phases of my internship. So one thing person should definitely do is ask for help. And like Pavani had also mentioned, right, people are very receptive. They understand the challenge you're going through, and they will come out with a solution, or they will give you enough material so that you can figure out the solution on your own. So how this is done is you take regular feedback. So yes, we had our midterm review after 1 month, but after a week or 2 weeks, I used to ask my appraiser, oh, what's up? Is there any way I can improve? Am I doing it right? Analytics, am I giving the right inputs? Can I do something different? So in those informal conversations, right, you get to know a lot more. I mean, in addition to your formal structured reviews that you have at the end of the first month and second month. So keep the conversations alive, not only with the appraiser and reviewer, but with different people.
Thanks for that answer, Rohit and Pavani. The final question for you is, what's a message or learning, or I mean, those could be multiple, you would like to share with the audience, with people who want to make careers the way you have?
In an MBA college, when you enter, you have a plethora of activities and plethora of things that you can choose from. So don't get into the FOMO of having everything on your plate and not doing justice to everything, but probably choose and play by your strengths and do the things that excite you. This is what I think I stuck with, and I'm really happy at the place I am right now.
3 things I would like to tell the people who are aspiring for any company they're aspiring for, right? So have dream companies. Second point is, I had also mentioned this before, network as much as possible, not for the sake of networking, but when you're curious, you tend to connect with other people. Thirdly is, when we are sitting for interviews, right, we have this one-page CV. I strongly believe that a person is much more than that one-page CV, and he or she should remember that when he's sitting for any interview.
I hope that our conversation creates value for those watching. Whatever's on your mind, please let us know in the comments below if you have questions, ideas, suggestions for the next conversation. This is Ocean from Team Inside IIM, and I thank you again for joining us watching this video today.